Was that the type of response you were looking for?
Oh, look, it's always pleasing to beat a good side, and I thought our general endeavour and intent was good, was high. It was a pretty willing game at various stages, and I was really proud of the boys how they took it on board and accepted responsibility and put out the performance we did today. Obviously, there were some changes within the side, but really pleased with the guys that came in as well. But when your leaders in, Noah Anderson and Sam Collins set the scene pretty early, I think you're always going to be in a good place.
How did you feel about that last quarter? Felt like you dominated a lot of stuff, but just couldn't quite bury it.
Yeah, there was just some moments that we sort of had to be a little bit better, a little bit understanding. A really good bit of play, obviously, was the Sam Flanders just had a bit of composure. I think he kicked that ball to Longy inside 50. We probably bombed the ball a little bit too much, and we didn't really have a need to. And look, they made a tactical move of putting Finlayson behind the ball to get a seventh, trying to generate some run, and we just kept capturing the ball back, but we're just too quick to move the ball forward when we didn't really have to be. So there's some things that we'll go through in there. It's always good to get you guys challenged a little bit from a tactical point of view. So we've got some work to do in that space.
What did you actually learn today? Like you said, you wanted a response, you get a response, but in terms of the longer term look at the team, what did you go?
Look, we know what we know. We know. Our system, I think, is relatively strong. We're a good forward half side. That was strong again today. Time in forward half, 55-45 sort of thing. And what we have to do is just get our better connection inside 50. I thought Ben King played as good as a game I've seen him play. I've only been here a short period of time, but thought he was terrific. And, Luco had his hands full at various stages against some really good opponents. So, Melly Roses comes into the side and contributes as well, which is important. So we certainly found, I think, some connection inside 50, but also some forward craft. In Lloyd Johnson, good goals, probably should have got one more, and Mally and Longy. So, I thought that was promising also.
Colo was back, set the tone. Obviously, that was a big matchup with Charlie Dixon and Sam.
Yeah, and he set the tone all year, hasn't he? And Mac and Chucky Ballard at various stages as well. So we've been pleased with how backs have performed. Will Powell and Bodie Ulan have been really strong in that field, and Joel Jeffrey keeps growing and becoming more immersed in that back 6, back 7 as well.
At full time, the cameras caught you still looking a bit peeved off. Is there anything there, or is it just general?
It's probably just a little bit of controlling the things that we can control. Even as a coach, I'd probably got to calm down a little bit, but just the frustration when we've probably got the game, we don't need to be doing certain things, but we're trying to teach and learn so much, but there's things in the games that we'll get, like I said, we'll get a fair bit out of that last, 5 or 6 minutes when we probably went forward when we didn't have to. We always had a spare, so let's just use the spare. But once again, trying to get that message across and that understanding is some things that I'm still working on with the playing group, so we'll get better at that.
What's the upside for this team this year, do you think, Dimma? It feels like, from the outside, it feels like you're driving them harder in the back half of this year. Is that because you think there's like a high ceiling?
Look, I think this group is capable of really great things. Sometimes that comes from just belief, and sometimes it comes from wins that create the belief. You look at our KPIs and what I call the process of winning, we are very, very strong. We probably, our ladder, once again, could have, should have, would have. If we had have won those 2 games against North Melbourne and St Kilda that we lost by a kick, all of a sudden the picture looks very different. But the fact is we are where we are. Do I think we're capable of very high and, strong things? Absolutely. And I want our playing group to believe that too. So we'll keep driving them as hard as we can, because once again, I think when you do that, but also with great coaching from our coaching group, I think they can take this club to somewhere they haven't been before.
The guys you brought in, you touched on earlier, you must be thrilled. Roses, Johnson, Davies, whoever else, Moyle. I know you can come in.
Yeah. But,
fresh faces.
I thought they all contributed really well. Even Jed didn't have his best day, but there were a couple of really important contests that he halved or he actually got a hand to that, that got that ball going forward. So I thought they all played their role pretty well today.
Can you remember a more, not just congestion on the ladder, but results flipping each week that we've seen the last all season, I guess? Can you remember another year like it?
No, it's been a great year of footy. The AFL, we had a sit down with them during the week and they sort of said, the crowds are as good as they've been since, I think last year was a record crowds. I think this year's even more so. And, I think the way the competition is, how even it is, it's such a good season. So, there's not a lot between the best, the very best side and then down to, I think it's a 12 or 13. Sydney probably the standout at the moment, but everyone in between that is probably pretty similar. And on any given day, anything can happen, and that's the way the league wants it, and that's the way I think the fans want it as well.
You just trying to dwell on that, like you mentioned before, the 2 missed opportunities. Like, how hard is it just to go?
Oh, look, you just keep moving forward, but it's just really important the players understand that you're never as good or you're never as bad. Sometimes I think the narrative can turn to the negative quite easily, but the fact of the matter is we've been pretty competitive in most games we've played. We've had a couple of disappointing lapses here and there, but once again, the group's growing, the group's learning, the group will get better once again. We're not exactly the most experienced side going around there, so we're only going to get better as the years progress as well.
Weller, still on track for next week?
Yeah, so he'll play next week. So, look, it's like a Group 1 horse. You probably don't put him back to the development squad. I'd like to play him in the seniors sort of thing, but we'll go through that selection this week. But, look, he's just a great story. Guy that hasn't played for a great deal of time over the last 2 years, really. So, we've taken our time. He's done a great job in rehab. Our medical staff have done a wonderful job conditioning him, so he looks ready to train. He's been killing training, so he'll be a welcome addition for us next week.
Just quickly, so Dave Swallow rested this week. Where's he at in your books and what?
Oh, look, he's a really important player. We just needed, we brought Al Davies in to do that second ruck role, and I spoke to Dave, and Dave's he's the epitome of a Gold Coast Suns person, I reckon. He just does whatever's right for the side sort of thing. He doesn't moan, he doesn't groan. He just says, yep, no worries, I'll be there if you need me sort of thing. So he'll be thereabouts this week. We just needed, that presence in the middle, which Dave could give us, but we also wanted Al Davies to play that second ruck, which Dave couldn't. Mind you, he still put up his hand to play it, so it's the type of guy he is. Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.